Welcome to Real Money Talks. Real strategies from the moneymakers and the world changers that you can use to make millions, keep those millions, multiply your wealth, and build your team. Here's your host, author of 5 New York Times bestsellers, money expert on Dr. Phil, CNN, CNBC, The Street TV, Fox News, and The View, Loral Langemeier.
Hi, this is Loral. Welcome back to Loral's Real Money Talks, where we talk about how to make money, how to keep money, how to invest it with an extraordinary team. You cannot do this wealth building journey alone. And we are known for our millionaire matrix, how to help people organize around becoming millionaires. So I always bring guests, I shouldn't say always, but a lot of times. And we are in the hottest economy, greatest market, and real estate. According to our database and all our surveys, 83% of the folks want to not only learn how to do it, they want to invest in it. Many of you have met Jesse Brewers, my partner in Ohio, and Justin Bennett is someone else I do real estate with in the Kansas market. So I brought Justin here to talk about his market and just why he got into real estate. So actually, he owns a carpeting and flooring company as well. So Justin, just give a little background of the entrepreneur you are and kind of why you ended up in the real estate side.
Well, just a little background on myself real fast. Started out and I had a real good corporate job with 3M, big company out of Minneapolis. Enjoyed what I did, but I was working with no end in sight really. And I really kind of saw the light as far as how to do things and ended up with a great business partner. We went into business together and started this floor restoration company. And it just kind of evolved from there. He was in some real estate stuff. And on the side from our flooring company, we played a little bit in real estate through his construction company and then decided, hey, we ought to really figure out how to do this and do this the right way. So we invested in some education in the real estate in the different markets and just kind of really hit the ground running. I guess why real estate is a very simple question, and I'll try to answer that very simply. There are just so many good ways to make money within the real estate industry. That's probably what made me get in it. There's serious wealth created through real estate every single year, not only the investing side, but direct selling with the realtors or property managers and managing the properties, wholesaling, finding deals and passing them along to investors, referrals, affiliate programs, a little bit of everything. You can make money in the real estate market. And so when you can play in a little bit of all of those arms, you're going to make a lot of money and be very successful at it. So on the investment side, what made me lean towards going to the investment side instead of becoming a realtor or whatever the case may be, is just all the different strategies you can do with a property. We can buy a property, renovate it, and flip it for fast cash. We can buy cheap properties, fix them up, and rent them for great cash flow. Or we can invest in properties to hold that not only cash flow, but also appreciate because they're in areas that increase in value at a much faster rate than what's normal for the area or the country or wherever the target property may be. So I guess the simple answer to your question would be there's so many different ways to invest in real estate. The possibilities really are endless. That and the fact that over 90% of the most successful people in the world also invest in real estate one way or another tells me it must not be a bad market, right?
Exactly. And there are such great markets. Talk a little bit about your market specifically. It's interesting to watch so many students live in these really big markets. You know, my husband's in Calgary. Tough market. There's some subsets in the LA market. Phoenix and Vegas are very bought out, high tickets. So talk about the Kansas market, what creates the value there.
Absolutely. And like you just said, we were just up in Calgary and the market up there is just not in a very good place right now because it's so dependent on one thing. You know, the oil and gas industry tanks and the market tanks. So there was vacancies everywhere, not only residential, but commercial properties. The Kansas City market, what makes it so intriguing and so investor friendly is the economy's booming. It's thriving. It's so diversified. I've lived in and around the area for years now, and I understand each area, the neighborhood, subdivisions, suburbs, to the point I have a real good idea whether a deal is going to work for us without having to waste any time on it. These mid-major markets like Kansas City, the cost of living is so much more affordable than other big cities. The middle-class families can thrive here. They can enjoy a much higher quality of life on their income than they would be able to experience anywhere else. So that's where people are going to rent the properties. That middle class family, the hard workers, they're going to be the ones looking for rental properties. And so as far as investing on the buy and hold side, which is the type of real estate we really found our niche in, the Kansas City market makes it great. other than the cost of living being so low. There's so many reasons. The economy being strong and thriving. Kansas City's adding new airport. They're one of the top places in the U.S. for businesses starting up. Downtown Kansas City is adding a huge hotel that's going to employ over 600 people. Over the last 10 years, the population of Kansas City has quadrupled, and it's expected to double again in the next 5 years. So there's growth in the economy. Again, it's very diversified. There's nothing that's going to destroy the economy. The urban core, Kansas City, downtown, and surrounding areas is actually in its largest revival in over 50 years. The voters have approved over $800 million for capital improvements to take place over the next 20 years. So not just the city, but the citizens are saying, yeah, let's make this great. And so the city's announced 33 projects that are going to create 2,700 jobs in the next few years. Kansas City offers a streetcar service to take patrons from one end of downtown all the way to the other. And the best part about it is it's free. Not many cities offer free streetcar service to their citizens. People just want to live in Kansas City, I guess, is why we invest in Kansas City. We have the Kansas City Royals, the Major League Baseball team. We have the Kansas City Chiefs, the NFL team, Sporting KC, MLS, the Sprint Center venue, all of the different art museums, the City of Fountains. Kansas City is actually second only to Rome in the world for the number of fountains in their city. Colleges and universities are spread all over Kansas City. So obviously knowing people want to live here, the strong economy, the projected growth, and all of these other reasons make it a no-brainer for us to do most of our investing here.
So talk about the specific category. You know, it's interesting about so many real estate education companies, they always, which drives me crazy, always start wholesaling. It's the easiest. I don't actually believe that. I think fixing and flipping is easiest, or just finding some simple buy and hold. But talk about the kind of strategy that you target, because you and I have been talking about what you've been doing and how we're going to ramp all that up.
Absolutely. So one of the best lessons you teach is diversification in your portfolio. So there's zero chance I'm going to only give you one type of deals that we invest in, because we will wholesale a deal here and there. I'm with you. I don't agree that that's the best thing to do, nor does it make the most sense, because if I get my hands on a deal to wholesale, that means there's profit there. And I'm not the type to really pass off a profitable property to somebody just so I can make a quick dollar. I'm not afraid of a little work or spending a little time to fix it up and earn the big check in the end game. So my answer to this question, I guess, would be all types of real estate. Single family homes, multifamily, such as duplexes, triplexes, 4 to 6 plexes, and, even some commercial property, the office and the retail space. We basically evaluate each deal differently depending on what we or our investors are looking for, how we plan to finance that deal, and what our exit strategy is on the property. But I will say our niche market and where we like to play is in the single family residence where we purchase to fix and hold. And we do this, we love to target areas or blocks or neighborhoods that have multiple properties for sale or that are vacant or need some TLC. And the biggest reason we do this is because with single family residence, a lot of a property's value is dependent upon similar nearby homes. It's a little bit different from the bigger properties or the commercial properties. So if we can control or own multiple properties in any area, we can mostly control or dictate the values of those homes. That's why it makes sense for us to go after areas that have multiple homes for sale. We don't want to just buy ones and twos here. We want to go where we can put a package of properties together and kind of control the market a little bit. And commercial real estate or multifamily properties, it works a lot like that. If you can control your rents, you can increase your cash flow by increasing the rents, or even just decreasing vacancy. You can control the appreciation of that property. So in these single family homes, that's what we try to do by putting together multiple properties in an area.
Absolutely. Way back in the day when I became a millionaire doing all this, that's what we would do. I mean, we were in the streets of Oklahoma City and Norman, Oklahoma, and Bentonville, Arkansas, Fort Smith, Arkansas. We would buy blocks, so very similar. So you're literally changing the entire community. What Jesse does over in Ohio is the same thing. We're literally buying blocks of real estate. And then obviously your rehab costs and all your cost purchases are significantly reduced and highly leveraged. Again, I want to just go a little deeper, like give an example of a type of real estate where you invested and kind of returns. Like give some examples of the kinds of deals, because I think people that are hearing this from some of the larger markets don't realize you can get real estate in the
Right.
70s and the hundreds and the 60s. I mean, things you can't even buy a garage for in some of these cities.
Absolutely. And so that's another thing with this Kansas City market. I would say Kansas City's in the top 5 in the country for absentee owners or out-of-state investors dumping money into the market because they understand the deals they can get exactly where you're going. So what we also like to do with these types of properties is we rate these properties from a 1 to a 5 level. Basically, 1 being the top notch, 200,000 and above houses, or the multifamily properties, et cetera, all the way down to 5 being the ones that you're afraid to walk near because it might fall down at any second, or it's fixing to be condemned, or whatever the case may be. And so what we focus on is what we like to call a level 3 property. And that home in the Kansas City market is going to be somewhere in the $40,000 to $60,000 range. It's going to be a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, or a 3-bedroom, 2-bath that typically is going to rent for $600 to $800 a month. It's also going to hold its value or appreciate decently each year. So again, we want to diversify here. So we will also go to the level 4 homes, which is a step down from the level 3. And what we can do is we can pick these up at auctions. We can pick foreclosed properties or tax sales or multiple different ways we can pick up level 4 homes. And you can get those dirt cheap at below $30,000 that need some work. And by the time you're done, you're still under $50,000 into the property, but you're renting it out for $700 to $850. So with these level 4 homes, we don't plan or forecast for much appreciation in the properties because we already know that the state of the property when we buy it. But what we're buying those properties for is, like you just said, like the cash flow. It's ridiculous. We're trying to get basically at a $35,000 property when we're all in, we're going to pull $700 or more in rent out of it. So we're actually going to get 2% of the purchase price in rents per month. So we're talking serious ROI extremely fast on those. But then we'll also go to the level 2 homes, sometimes the duplexes. They're not going to cash flow as much typically because they're more expensive in this market. The duplexes in Kansas City, there's not a lot of areas where you can swallow up duplexes real cheap. A lot of investors already own them. They will sell them, but they're going to sell them at a real low cap rate. And so you're still going to cash flow a little bit, but not like these other properties, these level 3 or level 4 properties. But what you are going to realize is the appreciation of these properties. The value of these properties just continues to rise at ridiculous rates year over year. So our niche market is those level 3 homes, but we will play with the level 4 and we'll go up to the level 2 homes, just depending on, again, what we're looking for at the time, what our investors want, what they want to see. Do they want to hold on to it? Are they just wanting monthly interest to live on or monthly interest to play with or whatever the case may be? But like I said, we evaluate each deal differently. Our niche is the level 3 homes.
Well, talk a little bit about forced appreciation. Jesse and I do that in a lot of ways by adding just enhancements for the millennials, because that's kind of right along the water. What are some ways that you force appreciation just by the rent?
So like you just said, the millennials or the new generation of baby boomers, what I like to call them, we don't have to go buy these level 2 or level 1 properties out in the suburbs. These millennials want to live where they eat, where they work, where they play. So downtown Kansas City is where everyone wants to go, the Power and Light District or the Sprint Center, the arts museums. And so we get to focus in those areas, in those urban cores, and buy these properties. And then what we do is just, when you're fixing it up, you fix it up to what they want. If they're not worried about a garage and they would like a game room or stainless steel appliances or tile bathroom, literally a tile bathroom instead of a laminate floor is the difference of $200. And if you show that property, you could increase your rents by $150 a month for putting in something that barely costs more on the front end. So we try to appeal to this new generation that wants to not even invest. They don't want to buy a house. They want to rent it, because when something goes wrong, they don't want to have to fix it. They want to call somebody and have it fixed while they're gone. So this market and that generation, it really makes it easy to force the appreciation, like you just said. With the multifamily or commercial, it's real easy to do because you control your rent, and the business or the family that's been there has to pay the more or move out, and then you're going to fill it real fast. With these single family homes, it's a little trickier because they could move across the street for $200 less. So we have to appeal to them with the renovations that we put into it to stay in that property or to be able to charge that higher rate. And then when we, like we talked about, when we focus on other properties in the area and we go buy them and fix them up the same way, even without increasing the rent, we're able to enforce appreciation because we fixed up that property that's worth the same amount as the other 3 properties we have on the block. So now we bought 3 properties at $30,000, and all of a sudden they're worth $55,000 without having to do much other than a few renovations and increase the rent. So once you have a number of properties on that block or in that neighborhood at those prices, the appreciation not only of your houses, but the neighbors love you because you're helping the value of their homes. And so if they see a house that's going vacant or somebody's moving, guess what they're going to do? They're going to give you a referral and say, oh, I want these guys to come in and buy this property because I know they're going to help the value of my house. And so it's really another great form of advertising as well, helping these neighborhoods, rejuvenating these neighborhoods, and helping the values of the homes in each area we invest in.
So let's talk about investors. So I've been an investor in the capacity of being a bank where you needed to close a property. I could come up with the cash. You pay me a really nice interest rate. Talk just before we end our podcast about a few ways people can do some deals. And those of you who are interested in talking to Justin further, want to understand this market, you can either be the bank, you can be a partner. I partner and do a lot of these deals. I love these kind of markets and real estate cash flow. But you go to askloral.com, askloral.com, put in your name, phone number, and email, and then just say, hey, I want to have a conversation with Jesse or make a request. Ask a question, make a request is what we say in that area of Ask Loral. But before we end, let's talk a little more about the kinds of deals you can do, because it's pretty diverse. I mean, 5 people want to put $5,000 in, 5 people want to put $10,000 in an LLC, come up with $50,000. They can all go buy a property together. So talk about that, Justin.
Absolutely. And how we find our investors is by targeting people through various marketing methods that we know most likely have some lazy assets or lazy money or investments. And by this, I mean they have a lot of, or any money really laying around that's only giving the investor a single-digit return, or a house that's paid off. Whatever the case may be, if they have money that's not working for them, we want to help them make it work for them. I will say we're going to try to keep this short, so I don't want to dive in too far. We could talk about options and possibilities for what we could do for each investor all day long. So what I'll do is I'll share my info through the Ask Loral site that you're talking about so people can get in touch with me if they have any more questions about it. What I will say is, like you said, we have multiple options for our investors, from debt positions, equity positions. We also offer some joint venture opportunities and other options. But what we do is we have a team of professionals working full time to be able to ensure, like you say, we're able to offer double-digit returns to our investors. Real estate's so unique in the fact that the security and peace of mind associated with investing in real estate is unlike any other investment out there. I'm not a financial planner, so this is not investment advice, but what I am telling you is that there's no investment that can create this large of an ROI with the security it has. Real estate is basically like a triple secured investment. You have the title and the lien on the policies tied to a mortgage or a prom note, and then it's secured with an insurance policy that's going to pay off the investor or the mortgage holder or the lien holder, whoever it may be on that property. So there's multiple things in place in the real estate market to protect the investor or the investment or whatever the case may be, depending on the options that we go with. But the best way to end this is by saying we have investments starting at 10% and up. So if you want to find out more, like Loral said, go to askloral.com, fill out the information, tell her you want to speak to Justin Bennett, and we can go over your options.
Awesome. And again, if it's just to learn, that's what we're here, is to teach you to learn. And these are non-accredited opportunities, so you don't have to be accredited to do these deals because they're solo, or they're very, very small groups. And that's what we help you do, is put that together. The other thing I do want to mention is we are doing a tour April 24th and 25th. That will be in the Ohio market. Justin will be out with us there, just to teach you, how do you get this kind of real estate done? How do you build a portfolio of it? So go to askloral.com, ask about the tour, ask to talk to Justin, and let us help you get your financial goals this year. Talk to you soon, Justin. Thank you so much for being on Loral's Real Money Talk.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Real Money Talks podcast. Your host has been Loral Langmeyer, author of 5 New York Times bestsellers, money expert on Dr. Phil, CNN, CNBC, The Street TV, Fox News, and The View. Want to learn more about off-Wall Street investing, tax strategies, and multi-million-dollar business strategies? Visit loralsrealmoneytalks.com for past episodes, show notes, and resources. For some special wealth-building gifts only for Loral's podcast listeners, visit laurelsrealmoneytalks.com/podcast-gifts. Do you have a burning question for Loral? Visit askloral.com to submit your question, and it may just be covered on a podcast episode. So stay tuned and be sure to subscribe to get new episodes every week.